entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Welcome to another Monday Night Live training, where your journey to business success accelerates. Join us for insights, strategies, and tools to elevate your business while keeping your budget in mind. It's time to transform your passion into profit. Your host, Corey Bill Costa, is about to take the stage. Get ready to be inspired and empowered. The future of your business starts now.
All right, hello. I realized I'm here with Instagram and I'm in here just dancing. And I said, oh, I'm supposed to be doing something, ain't I, during this moment. So give me a second. Let me get my things together here. Make sure everybody can see us. All right. We are almost there. I forgot. Yeah, I'm supposed to be putting in some links so that we can broadcast everywhere. But, we went somewhere to do some. But how are you guys doing? Happy Monday. This is our second Monday in June. So crazy. This year's been going by so freaking fast. And for those of you who are parents, welcome to summer break. If you're not already on summer break, if you haven't already been, I know we have one public schooler and her last day is tomorrow. So we, are pretty much completely on summer break, and I'm ready. I'm ready. I feel like I'm primed. I'm ready to go. I'm a little scared, but I'm ready. It's just a lot to juggle. Like you would think, because I already homeschool, that it wouldn't be that big of a departure, because you're like, well, the kids are already home, but it's a different routine. And I know one thing that I really have struggled with recently is just like how much free time to give the kids, because I feel like back in the day we had summer break, but we had activities, we had camps, we would go outside and play with friends, like in the neighborhood, we would work. And I know my mom used to make me do like those little phonics books every day. And so there was also a bit of education. I remember one time I even went to summer school for fun, and took some stuff. So it's like, I know that that's what can be done. But when I look at this generation of kids, and maybe it's just my kiddos, but I doubt it. It's just like all they want to do is sleep in, stay up late, and do nothing all day and basically turn into mush. They're not making plans to go out and connect with friends. They are not seeking to get like driver's license, jobs, or anything. It's just like zombies walking around, and zombies who are in the way. And so, yeah, it's very different than my typical work schedule, because usually I have their schedule set up so that it does not interfere with me. They're up actually starting school before I'm in the office. They know their break times. I already have it like pre-scheduled their work. And so I'm able to just kind of check in. Now I feel like I'm just kind of running around constantly, dropping people off, picking people up. Like right now I'm talking with you guys, and my son is downstairs with my husband on a call because he's going to camp this year. And so they have like a parent orientation. Obviously, I'm here with you guys. I would have pre-recorded this. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not that bad of a parent. Had they told me in advance, but I literally got the email like an hour ago, so I didn't have time to pre-record this to be present. But we do what we can. So all that to say, let us pray that we make it through this summer, because yeah, that's what we're gonna say. Yeah. So yeah, if you are having kids that are on summer break or about to be on summer break, definitely leave like the prayer hands or something in the chat, to let me know like we're in this together. Because it's crazy, and it's so weird though. I try to look at things like with a silver lining and say, well, at least we have some plans for them. We have like kind of a game plan, and it's getting more and more solidified. So it's like we're not in the trenches yet, but I can feel, because I'm a girly who has anxiety, I can feel the trenches coming. And so I'm like, okay, we got actually all three. Look, shout outs to my kiddos. All three of my kiddos landed paid internships this summer. Last summer, they also had paid internships. So I have two. We'll have one that's considered a youth, but they're still getting a paid internship. That's my son. He's the youngest. He's 12. And then my two 6-year-old cousins that you guys will always see, especially if you watch my personal page, they're always with me. But one got into a STEM paid internship, and the other one is doing like a teen paid internship thing. Yeah, they all got it. So kudos to them. Shout out to them. They had to all apply and they got in. I also have one kiddo going to some type of like overnight conference. And then I have one kid going to camp. It's like, woo. So they do have things that they will be doing, but it still means that I'm going to be everywhere, all over the place this summer. So here we go. But anyway, let's get into it. Tonight really isn't a training night. I really wanted this to be more, and I mean, there will be some education, but I wanted this tonight to be kind of a check-in. Like, how are you guys doing? How are you feeling? That's why I started with talking about, especially for the parents out there, us, going through this summer shift, trying to find ways to still do business, but still be a parent and still enjoy this time with our kids and, husbands or, whatever spouses you have. But let's just check in. First of all, how are we doing mentally? Right? Mentally, how are we doing? Spiritually, how are we doing? Physically, how are we doing? Emotionally, how are we doing? Right? Business wise, how are we doing? This is the perfect time to kind of pause and just take a moment to breathe and say, how am I? How are things going? Because we are so go, go, go. I think it's part of like just how we're raised here in the US. It's just like that hustle mentality. Like if we want it, we have to go after it and we just have to keep going. And oftentimes that leads to burnout, frustration, anxiety, stress, because we are always in pursuit of the next thing. Whereas I feel like we're not taught as much just to kind of be in the here and now and enjoy, right? And say, I made it. And so tonight, that's what we're going to be kind of doing, is just having a quick little business health check, saying like, how's business going? I'm not a life coach, so we're not going to dive super hard into life, but, definitely check in on yourself. If you suffer from, depression, anxiety, what have you, make sure you just check in with yourself, check in with your community, your network, your friends, whomever. Just make sure everybody okay. Make sure everybody okay. Give yourself a pep talk for this next season of life, and we're gonna all get through it. Before I dive into our topic, I always forget to introduce myself. But for those of you who do not know me, hello, I am Corey Fonville Foster. I am a speaker, trainer, certified business coach, and I'm also the CEO of iRock Marketable Business Solutions, which is based here in Virginia. And we're just so excited to be able to serve you all. Our main goal is to help coaches and consultants who are trying to start, run, and scale their small businesses on a shoestring budget. We do that through coaching, through marketing. We really focus on business fundamentals, marketing, and sales. And we do all that with affordability in mind, because we know that not everyone has the ability to get access to capital. Not everyone has the ability to have a team, to have supporters, to have people who know, certain skills that can help them along on their entrepreneur journey. And so we are here to kind of stand in the gap and support you where you are to get you to where you want to be. All right. So let's start the check-in with my own little check-in. Some of you may be familiar with this little jar. I think I might have shown it recently. But I was gifted this jar, one for my birthday, but it's also from one of my amazing mentors. And this is just like a visible representation. And I said I think I talked to you guys about it in January, maybe December, January, because I got it in December. But I said I was going to keep showing this jar because I wanted you to see a visual representation of the progress. It doesn't matter where you start, right? And it doesn't matter what people around you are doing, like in your industry. It really should always be a thing where you look at your progress. So this is my progress and a visual representation for the year. Of course, I set goals. Of course, I have a business plan. Of course, I have all the metrics and check in and do all the stuff. But this is for the cool things that happen to me, the big wins, right? And not even necessarily big wins. Some of these are like wins, like mediocre wins. But whatever I see as a win or a goal reach, it goes in the jar. That's it. I write what it is on it. I put the month on it so I know when it happened. And I put it in the jar. And my main goal was not to say how many things could fit in here, but I said, you know what? I want this jar so full at the end of the year that it's hard to close. And so I think so far we're making pretty good progress. I'm really happy about it. But I'm going to keep showing this. And I really encourage you, especially if you find it hard to um, notice the wins and recognize them for yourself and celebrate yourself, get yourself a little visual representation. And it's not too late. You can go back, look at your calendar. I'm sure you can remember some of the cool things that have already happened this year, and put them in the jar. And these are things that matter to you. They may not even be like financial goals. They could be um did a month consistent with social media, um got over my fear and did a live, like whatever matters to you, whatever is going to be a win for you. Get yourself a jar. I don't care how big it is, how small it is, but start visibly being able to show yourself what you've been up to and show yourself that you're doing a great job. All right, so that's my little check in, my visual representation, and I have more stuff to add to it this month. It's going to be a great month. But anywho, so back to the topic. So mid-year business check-in. All right. So the first thing I want to do is look at our goals, right? Because we started the year with goals, and I think it's important not to just jump all around. So at the beginning of the year, actually, technically, I asked you guys to do it back in the fourth quarter of the year. I said, think of some goals you want for 2024, right? And so the whole year. So what do you want to accomplish by the end of 2024, which is literally just in a little over 6 months? And then I said, take those goals and break them down into monthly goals. So you should have at least 12 monthly goals, right? You may have had more. You may have had monthly goals or like big goals that related to different aspects of your life or different aspects of your business, but you should have at least 12 monthly goals, right? One for each month. And then I said, now break that monthly goal down into action steps, right? So you got your weekly actions, your daily actions, because my thought process and what I've known to be true, and I've talked with my clients about this, is you can have a bad day. All of us do. And it doesn't really hurt you. It's not going to make or break your business have a bad day. Heck, you can have a couple bad days. You can even have a bad week or a couple bad weeks. But if you consistently have bad months, what's going to happen is you are going to struggle, and it's going to be pretty difficult for you to reach your end of year goal. And so, what I have seen people do, and this is why I always tell people to have those action steps, is they'll get to the end of the year, like, a month or two out, and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to get to this. And you're probably right, because you never held yourself accountable every month, every week, every day, and made it more manageable for you to get to the goal that you set for yourself. And so, first of all, when we think about our goals, I want you to say, what goals have you completed already? Some of you may have thought it was going to take you all year to complete a goal. Maybe you already did it. That's a win. But that goes in the jar. Like, met that goal early. Put it in the jar, right? Then also take stock on what progress you made to goals. Are you on track? Like, if it was a goal for the year, are you halfway to that goal? Maybe you had a financial goal to get 100K this year. Are you half the way to 100K? If not, then we need to pump up what's working, and decrease the things that aren't working. Then also, this is a great time, and I'm going to mention this again at the end. This is a great time to say, if something isn't working, or if something that we weren't optimizing is working and we need to put more effort and more resources behind it, this is a great time to adjust. It's a great time to not only adjust, but also to pivot. If you realize that a goal you set is like, girl, what was I thinking? That's not going to happen this year, because sometimes we don't know, or maybe we're just a little overzealous. This is the time to pivot and adjust and really throw our mental capacity, our energy, our hopes, our dreams onto the goals that make sense. This is a time where we may need to say, we'll revisit that in 2025, or we'll revisit that if we have time. But let's put all of our effort, all of our resources behind the things that have shown us the most success thus far. And I know that can be hard, right? Because you're like, well, dang, but I really wanted this. Well, we got to be honest, because that's what's going to separate the people that's going to be successful from those who aren't. There have been plenty of projects that I have started and put some energy behind, and I realized that either it's not something I actually really wanted to do now that I'm doing it, or it's just not really giving me the dividends that I thought, and I have to switch up. Because if I keep just throwing stuff at it, it doesn't mean that it's going to yield me the kind of results that I initially anticipated, and it could be at the detriment of another project that could have been highly successful. So I just want to encourage you guys to, like I said, look at your goals, put anything that's been completed in the completed pile, anything that you've made significant progress with it and it's been doing really well. Put more effort behind it, come up with more strategies, more solutions, more effort, more money, put that behind it, more team effort behind it. And then things that aren't serving you that look like, hey, let's not beat a dead horse. Let's go ahead and let those things go. And it's not a failure. It's not a failure at all. Plenty of big companies launch campaigns that just do not pan out and they move on. If you want to sit and cry and mope about it for the next 6 months, the only person that's really hurting is you and your company. So I suggest you just kind of say, you know what? It is what it is. We'll come back to it if we have time, but let's put, like I said, all of our efforts behind the things that are really going to move the needle forward for our business. Something else I want you to look at, kind of in that same vein, is your actions. You may or may not be reaching these goals because you may not be taking significant action. Again, when we think about goal setting at the beginning of the year, we're jazzed up, we're hyped. It's the new possibilities have opened, right? For some reason, our brains reset on the 1st of January. We're like, anything is possible. And so because of that, we have these lofty goals and ambitions, and we're like, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. But then we don't do the work. And I say we because I too have done that where I did not do the work. And because of that, now I'm sitting here like, oh, well, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Sometimes you got to call yourself out like, Corey, what happened there? And part of that could be consistency. And again, this is time where we just have to be honest. Nobody knows what we're saying to ourselves but us, right? And I actually, if you're brave enough, I would have these conversations with your team, with your mentors, with your coaches, and say, okay, have I been taking consistent action in these categories, right? Have I been posting? Have I been emailing? Have I been networking? Have I been reaching out? Have I been working on that project that was due 5 months ago? Whatever the case may be, have you been taking action consistently? Because if you haven't, then that is why you are not making progress. Sometimes people want to throw in the towel, and I'm like, but you ain't do the work. You ain't actually do nothing. So how do you know if it works or not? How do you know? All right. So we have to kind of sit down and say, what actions are we taking again? What actions are yielding results? What aren't? But again, make sure those are consistent. Because if you went one day this year so far, right? We're almost 180 days in, and you pitched podcasts for an hour once during this, 5-6 month period, and you're like, well, I didn't get booked on any podcasts. Well, the numbers would show us that, yeah, because you weren't consistent. You haven't really been putting in the work. You did it to take a little check off and say, well, I pitched some podcasts. But yeah, you're not yielding the results of having, maybe your goal was a podcast a month, which is at least 12 in a year, right? You're like, well, I don't even have one yet, so I should just give up. It's like, well, did you pitch consistently? Same with speaking gigs. Some of you guys want to speak more. Are you pitching for speaking gigs consistently, right? Are you doing different strategies to get booked? Are you putting yourself out there as a speaker? What actions are you taking to get you to that next point? Some of you wanted to, build your email list, right? And some of you may have email lists and you're not even sending out emails, right? Are you sending emails out consistently? Are you consistently adding new individuals to your email list? These are all real actions that need to be taken. Some of us can dial it back even further and say, are you getting up every morning and working? Because I told somebody recently, I said, entrepreneurship is hard because, even at the basic level, it's like nobody's telling you what time to get up. Nobody's telling you what time to start your day. Nobody is telling you what work needs to be done that day. I literally was talking to my husband. I said, I got to decide what I want to focus on this week. He was like, huh? I said, I need to decide what I need to focus on this month because I got a lot of things going on and I need to focus like in the next 7 days and say what has to get done. And focus on it. And there's nobody to tell me what to focus on. I have to figure it out. And so I really want to encourage you to think about what you're doing and say, am I doing it consistently? Right? Because the ball is really in our court. I think that anybody, no matter their background, skill set, No matter what other variables you have, you can be successful. But a lot of that lies in consistency, right? Because through consistency, you can learn to do better, but you cannot, do a lot if you don't have the data to say, oh, this is working or this isn't, if you're not doing anything. So definitely be consistent. Really take evaluations and write your actions down and say, this is what I've been doing. This is where my time is going. Because some of you, I ain't gonna call no names. I'm gonna look at both cameras. But some of y'all been out here traveling, having a good old time, just out and about enjoying life. And kudos to you. But I know on the back end, you ain't finished some projects that you need to finish. And I'm just joking around. I mean, I do see you guys out here, but I want you guys to remember the importance. What did you say you wanted to do? What did you say you wanted to accomplish? And are the actions that you are currently doing, are they moving you towards, getting to where you want to be? Because I get how you can, get caught up. Maybe you wanted to, outside of your business, do, fitness or eat right or spend time with your spouse or spend time with your kids or travel or, whatever the case may be, go to more conferences, whatever the case may be. But your business still has to be done consistently. And because most of my audience are small business owners with not a huge team, that means you got to be there to do the work. And if you haven't been clocking in doing those hours, then we have to say, okay, is this why we're not getting to where we want to be? All right. Let's talk about just some other metrics that are just important to kind of look at right now. And I get some of you may not want to, but we got to look at the money. Where's the money going? How's it coming in? And where is it going out? So looking at revenue, how's your revenue doing? Are you making any money? Right? Is your business making any money? Because we haven't got to your money yet. Is your business making any money? Are you selling anything? Some of you have lots and lots of products and services. Are you selling anything? Are you? And if you're selling stuff, are you selling enough to make it worth your while? I actually was talking to my team recently and say, hey, we're gonna shave down some stuff for 2025. I said, we're gonna shave down some stuff because I realized that while I would love to help different people do, it does not serve me or my team to be constantly working on things that only yield us a small bit of revenue. It doesn't really, I'm saying? People are like, oh, can you make me a certificate? It's like, we could, but I literally don't make any money off of it. So it's like, it's kind of a little bit of a waste. And so we're going to be looking at shaving down some of our services. Yes, you want to have an amazing service suite, but again, if it's not worth your time, your energy, and it also isn't yielding clients that are going to move up your value ladder, then it's time to make some shifts. So please look at your revenue and not just as the bottom line number, but where are those revenue sources coming from? Some of you may be excited because you sold 1,000 units of your book, but if your book is always on sale and people are only buying it for 12, 14 bucks, yes, kudos to you, but it's like, you're a coach. Why aren't you selling more coaching packages where, if you had 1,000 coaching clients, or even if you had one coaching client or two, it'll cover the cost of how many books you sold. So we just have to be smart about it and say, okay, where are these revenue sources coming from? And are those revenue sources the same places that we're marketing, same items that we're marketing, right? Because some of us have multiple products, but we only market certain things as our main thing. So if you've been marketing, spending money and energy marketing these things over here, but these things are yielding you the most revenue, then it's time to, again, make some adjustments to put more money behind the things that are selling so you can sell more of it, if it makes sense. The next number I do want you to look at is your profits. This is something, again, I talked to my team about. I said the math is not mathing. The math is not math. And how is every year the company makes more money, significantly more money, but I am not making significantly more money? I said, something's got to change. We're going to have to look at those numbers because, in the beginning, you're like, well, this is my heart. I get that, I got to, pay my dues. I got to do this. I got to do that. But it's like, your girl wants to still also be able to reap the benefits of all the effort that I'm putting in. And so that's a conversation you should be having as well with yourself, with your team, and saying, hey, are you receiving the profits you need to make this worth your while? You're working day in, day out, consistently giving your blood, sweat, and tears into your business. and then you're bringing couple dollars home every month, or some of you aren't even getting paid at all, and you're not alone. Plenty of people have gone through it as business owners, but it's like then the math isn't mathing. We need to look at this and see how we can make it work. Something else that you can start looking at is your CAC. We talked about that before. That's your customer acquisition cost. Like, how much is it costing you to bring in a client? Look at your operational costs. Your girl is definitely looking at that. How much is it costing to keep these lights on? Right? Is there any place, any software we're not using, that we're not optimizing, that we can get rid of? Because I'm telling you, some software is on the chopping block. Some software is on the chopping block. Are we using it? If we're not, it's gone. Can we find something else that we already paid for, or that'd be cheaper, that does the same thing or better? So you're gone. So look at your operational costs. I was actually recently looking at because I want to be at the house sometimes, y'all. My office is in my home, which helps me as a visually impaired person be able to continue to work, and I have to worry about like going out and also keep my overhead low. But recently I was looking at a shared workspace, and I was like, oh, I could have like an office there and see my local clients there instead of them coming to my house. And then I was like, I'm not about to pay basically a rent for a desk and a smaller desk in a shared space, right? I was like, I'm not. Even if I wanted to like rent a conference room, it would be cheaper than renting a desk in that space. They're like, well, you could have a file cabinet with it. I'm good. So sometimes we have to look at that operational cost. Some things are like, oh, I wish I could have it, but it's like, do you need it? Maybe not. Something else that I would encourage you guys to do is definitely, if you haven't been doing so, I really actually think you should do it at least once a month. But check back in on your business plan, check back in and update your SWOT. We talked about this in January, making sure you had a business plan. And it didn't even need to have tons of things on it. You just really need to know, what is your business about? Who do you serve? How do you serve them? So that's like your products, your services. Who do you serve is of course your client avatar / your target audience, and then also having like, where's your money going in, coming out, like all your like some basic financial things. I'm trying to think what else is up there. It was really basic, not a lot of things. If you go to our Monday Night Lives in January, we did a whole bunch of goal setting, business plan types of things. And we'll have more detail there. But I also encourage you guys to make a SWOT analysis. Excuse me. That's SWOT, and it's standard. Woo. we'll roll. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it's standard for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so at this point in the year, your strengths column should have some things you can add to it. Your weaknesses should be less. Opportunities, you hopefully would have already started tapping into some of those, maybe even been able to add some that you didn't foresee in the past. And your threats hopefully have been mitigated, and you've taken care of them, or you have things in place to keep them at bay. So this is the time to kind of just check in on that. Again, I really recommend you check on your business plan monthly if you can, because every decision you make should really fall back and relate to what you said in your business plan. And if for some reason you have made changes, adjusted, rebranded, what have you, then your business plan should have been adjusted as well when you made that decision. And like I said, your SWOT, doing it, twice a year. I say at least once a year, but definitely, especially if you are a newer business or you had a lot of things you wanted to work on, it's time to go ahead and update that SWOT as well. All right. So now that you've kind of done your check-in, right? You got some information, you got some metrics, you understand your money, you understand your goals that you have been doing, that you've been working on, you did your actions, you've kind of checked back in on your business plan and your SWOT. I want you to remember to set some priorities, right? Moving forward. We got a little over 6 months to knock the rest of this year out the park. So make sure if you need to make more SMART goals, go ahead and do so. SMART was the acronym. What was it? Strengths? No, not strengths. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. So make some more SMART goals if you need to. You may not at this point. Prioritize. What are the things, right? The action steps you absolutely need to do now, right? Start them, get them done, check them off your list, and then keep prioritizing. There are lots of things that we are like, oh, I wish. Cool, I get it, but let's focus on the things we absolutely have to do. And then we can move on to the I wish, the shoulda, couldas, and the wouldas. Optimize your resources. If you have a VA, right, or you're working with the agency, you're working with a coach, check in with them. Get your money's worth. Ask what other things they can do. Check in. Some of you hire VAs and you don't even know where their time is going, right? Where their money's going. Or some of you may have wanted to get a VA and you're like, well, I don't know. Let me try it myself for the first part of the year. Go ahead and invest in yourself, right? Invest in your brand. It may be time to invest in help, invest in getting more skills. Maybe you need to invest in some webinars, some trainings, some courses. Work on getting some more knowledge, reading books, whatever the case may be. But invest in yourself, because if you are now at the middle of the year and you are really far from where you want it to be, and especially those of you who have consistently year after year set goals that you have not reached, it's time to make a change. What's the definition of insanity? Repeating the same thing and expecting a different result? Let's stop that. Let's make some changes. I get a lot of strategy calls, and one of the questions is like, do you want to coach or do you want to do it alone or something like that? They're like, I'll do it alone. And it's crazy because I follow people on social media. We do those calls and I can see you a year later and you haven't made progress. Why? Because you wanted to do it alone. And no successful business owner ever does it alone. I'm not saying you have to work with me, but you may need to reach out and connect with some folks that can help you. And if that's me, I'm great. I'm happy about it. I want us to work together. But definitely, like I said, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, because you may be saying, well, my business really isn't bringing in any money right now. Well, it might not be bringing in any money because you don't know how to bring in the money. Most of the people who I, encounter in my sphere, whether they be in our community or in our email list or what have you, they're experts in something, right? But they're typically not experts in marketing, sales, business fundamentals. They're expert in their own right. And so you just may need someone to help you with the business part of what you're doing. I work with a lot of therapists, a lot of ed consultants, a lot of market researchers, different things like that. And you guys are amazing at what you do, but you struggle sometimes with putting the business pieces together and holding yourselves accountable, right? And so it's okay. It's okay. It's not a failure to have to ask for help. It's not a failure to have to invest in something. Again, there are courses, there are webinars, there are things that are free, but realize you get what you pay for. If you've been constantly on YouTube University and wondering why it has not given you the breakthrough you're looking for, again, a lot of people, even myself, we put out free content to give you some information, right? So that you can realize where back out. We want to help you, but also we realize that we can't help you the way we want to unless you're embedded in something that's more robust, right? I always tell you on these talks, like we're 30 minutes in and we're about done. I can't give you everything. And I can't do it specifically for you, because this is just a general quick training. So if you're needing something more personalized, I do encourage you to reach out. In the description of this broadcast, wherever you're watching it, it does have the link to our free mini brand audit. I always say you can, book a strategy call as well, but I feel like the mini brand audits are really great for those of you who already have businesses, because we are able to look and see what you're doing now, what's working, what's not working, what your goals are, and then I can give you some specific tips, some strategies to help and support you for your business, right? On that call. If you do a strategy call, it's more like, hey, I need help doing this. And I'm like, cool, let's get it done. So definitely use that link. It's completely free for us to look at your business. And it's not an audit in the sense that maybe you may have had before where they give you like spreadsheets afterwards. No, we look at your business from the angle of what does your audience, what are they seeing, right? Your potential clients, what are they seeing? And why is that not converting to sales for you? That's the bottom line. What are they seeing? What's their journey like as they engage with your business? And why or why not is it converting to sales or not as many sales? All right. So that is our training for today. I do want to let you guys know, shout outs to, I have to remember where I was at. Shout outs to you in Maryland that I got to connect with when I was at the Rethinking Me brunch earlier in the month. I was there, I think, for the first. Shout outs to you guys in Richmond, Virginia. I was just at the Heath Homeschool Convention. I'm a homeschooling mom. I went to a working mom session. It was so fun to connect with folks there. I've actually had clients that I've met there and things like that. So it was really cool. A really cool 3-day event. That's why your girl has no makeup on. I'm just letting my body rest. Later on this month, I'll be in Chi-Town. Not this week, but next week. And then the following week, and I already know some of you, we've already linked up. I will be, what is it? The last weekend of the month, I will be at TSP in Atlanta. So I will see you guys there. If you're going to be there, let me know. We can still connect. Say, hey, girl, hey. So yes, it's a busy month, but I definitely would like to meet you there. And for those of you who were unable to meet me in Philly, I did a talk called Blindsided, Not Sidelined, with the Small Business Expo in Philly. Well, the Small Business University has booked me to do a virtual presentation of that talk. So it's free, it's open to the public. So if you're interested, you want to see the talk, it's definitely geared to, again, coaches, consultants doing business on a shoestring budget. It's going to give you 9 to 10 tips on things you really should be looking at implementing in your business to move the needle forward and to really make a massive impact on your business. So that webinar will take place Tuesday, July 9th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The QR code is there if you want to take a picture of it on the screen, or you can go to bit.ly/Corey SBU. You can definitely go there. If you're on the SBU, that's the Small Business University. If you're on their email list, it'll probably come out in the next couple of weeks because they send out stuff, I think, like every week. But you can already go there and register to make sure that you have a reserved seat in the house. And again, it is free. And I'm happy that I get to do this virtual. It's always great to do it in person, but I know not everybody can be in Philly. So this one will be open to anyone in the United States. I'm sure you can get it abroad as well. But yeah, I'm super excited. Again, Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, 1 p.m. And this is going to be a great partnership with the Small Business University. So definitely check me out there. But guys, that is all for tonight. I gotta go cook dinner. So remember, guys, I rock, you rock, we all rock, and I will talk to you guys next time.